Hey guys, Matt here with another weekend video. This is going to be El Cerritos' own CCR, or Creedence Clearwater Revival. Longtime favorite of mine. It's going to go under my San Francisco / Bay Area category because, of course, El Cerrito is in the Bay Area. I'm going to be doing CCR from their first album, Creedence Clearwater Revival in 1968, through the Centerfield album, which was what, 84, 85, the mid 80s anyway. And, the John Fogerty albums in between. So all the CCR albums and the, 3 John Fogerty albums. All right, so pretty much a quick video, but hella good music. All right, so here's just a 20-bit remastered version of their first album. Came out in 1968. It's good. I mean, I don't know if it's one of their better albums, but in terms of a debut record, it's certainly not bad. It's got probably the cover versions on here are more famous than the Fogerty originals. I Put a Spell on You, the old Screamin' Jay Hawkins tune, they do that very well. They took that, 50s R&B type kind of a horror type Halloween song and made it into like a swamp rock number. Susie Q, the Dale Hawkins rockabilly number, they take that into, 8 minutes, eight and a half minutes, and it's great. When they put it on the Chronicle album years later, they had to reduce it. You don't even get the 8.5 minute version. 99.5 won't do. Wilson Pickett, and then of course they got Walking on the Water, Porterville, Working Man. So it's not a bad album. Let's go over the band here. John Fogerty, of course, on lead guitar and vocals, the songwriter. Tom Fogerty, his brother, on rhythm guitar. Stu Cook on bass, and Doug Clifford on drums. All right, that is CCR, except no substitute. All right, so pretty good album with Susie Q and I Put a Spell on You being classic cover versions. Okay, their second album, it's called Bayou Country. It either came out in late 1968 or early 1969, as most online sources will tell you. It's a 1969 album. This is a classic. This is the old DCC Steve Hoffman disc. It sounds real good. I don't know if any of these albums had unique mono mixes. All mine are stereo. Born on the Bayou, epic. And that is the greatest CCR song not to be on the double Chronicle LP from 1976. Bootleg is an awesome deep cut. Graveyard Train, great. Good Golly Miss Molly, the Little Richard cover. Penthouse Pauper, another great deep cut. Proud Mary is a classic. I mean, it's hard to believe that, a guy who's still alive to this day actually wrote that song, Proud Mary. It's almost like it's an old folk song that's been around forever, like This Land Is Your Land or something like that, Keep On Chugin, which is the last number. This is a classic, although they would make better albums than this. All right, so Born on the Bayou, either their second LP of 68 or their first LP of 69, depending upon what you want to believe. I think it probably came out in 69. All right. Green River. This is some people's favorite Creedence Clearwater Revival album. It's another classic, folks. You're going to hear me use that word classic a lot on this show. It's like Born on the Bayou, or, Bayou Country, I'm sorry, but better. Green River and Commotion are two classic CCR songs, two classic CCR hits. They open up the album. Tombstone Shadow is a real good deep cut. Wrote a Song for Everyone is an epic deep cut. Now, folks, if you're just thinking about, CCR were a singles band, the way that, a lot of people see them, I probably see them that way myself. They had any number of really first-rate deep cuts, though, which were as good as their hits. Wrote a Song for Everyone. There it is. That's one of them. Okay. All right, Bad Moon Rising and Lodi, two more classics just like Green River and Commotion. Folks, I went to school in Lodi, California. It's a little town right outside of Stockton. Even then, in the early 80s, you know, I used to see the bumper stickers, you know, stuck in Lodi. So that was a phrase, the reason I did buy this song that was there even then. Cross Tie Walker is good, Sinister Purpose is good, and Nighttime is the Right Time is a Ray Charles cover, although he didn't write it, you know. They always did cover versions on their albums. John Fogerty always having a great love of, you know, 50s, you know, R&B and rock songs. So Green River, that's practically a 5-star album, you know, guys. But my favorite CCR album of 1969, Willie and the Po' Boys. This is another DCC, Steve Hoffman album, just like Green River and Bayou Country are. Okay, my favorite one of 69, Down on the Corner. That's classic, you know. It Came Out of the Sky is a great deep cut on here, just like Wrote a Song for Everyone was on Willie. Cotton Fields is the Leadbelly. It's Huddy Leadbelly cover. This was the first version, their version of Cotton Fields that I ever heard. So even though, you know, everyone has covered that song, the Beach Boys had a hit with it overseas anyway. Alan Jardine produced. And of course, Leadbelly's own version, as well as many others. In my mind, the CCR version is the definitive one. Isn't that funny? Poor Boy Shuffle, Feelin' Blue is a great deep cut. Fortunate Son is, you know, was in every Vietnam movie made in the last 40 years. That's another classic. Don't Look Now, It Ain't You or Me is real good. Another classic deep cut. The Midnight Special. That's another Leadbelly song, right? Oh, it's just an old folk song, but they do a great version of that too. That's as good as their version of Cotton Fields. Side of the Road and Effigy, the great Effigy at the end. Yeah, that's my favorite one of 69. This was their best album at that time, but Cosmo's Factory is probably better. But anyways, there you go. Proof that, you know, there was more to CCR than just the hits. You gotta have the albums, folks. All right, another DCC disc. Steve Hoffman did a lot of these. He did all but 2. This is Cosmo's Factory. This is their longest album because these albums are short, but not this one. All right? It's also got a lot of songs on it. 11. Ramble Tamble is a great deep cut, and it opens the album. Before You Accuse Me, awesome Bo Diddley number. Traveling Band is classic CCR. Sounds just like Little Richard. Ooby Dooby, great, you know, Roy Orbison's son cut. Looking Out My Back Door, Run Through the Jungle, and Up Around the Bend. 3 classic CCR hits in a row. Give them to you again. Looking Out My Back Door, it's about psychedelic drugs. Run Through the Jungle, it's another one of those Vietnam kind of movie songs. And Up Around the Bend. All right, My Baby Left Me, the old Elvis tune. Who'll Stop the Rain, another totally classic CCR song to go along with Looking Out My Back Door. I heard the grapevine, their 11-minute version of the Marvin Gaye number. You know, not that he wrote it, because remember Gladys Knight and the Pips had the hit version before he did. Theirs went to number 2, Marvin Gaye's went to number 1. And then another classic, Long As I Can See the Light. Cut for cut, there is no filler on here. This, I'm going to just say this is the best CCR album. It is most people's favorite. And if it ain't, it's this one. Willie and the Po' Boys are playing, bringing nickels. Okay, that's all they did in 1970 is that one album. Of course, they had done 2 to 3 albums in 69. Pendulum, another really good one from 1971. All right, Pendulum, a little bit low on the hit quotient, but still great. Pagan Baby is an awesome opener, just like Ramble Tamble was. Sailor's Lament, Chameleon, the immortal, the classic, Have You Ever Seen the Rain? Again, folks, these are as good as pop rock songs got in the early 70s. Wish I Could Hide Away, Born to Move, Hey Tonight, more classic CCR. It's Just a Thought, Molina, and Rude Awakening. So only 2 CCR hits in Have You Ever Seen the Rain and Hey Tonight. And there are 10 songs. But the other cuts are good. There are no bad cuts on here. You know, it's just not as strong as the 69 or the 1970 albums. But Pendulum is still, I mean, if you grew up with this record, you dig it. And I did, all right? Okay. The band was having a little bit of internal squabbling. You know, John, who was the leader, wasn't always the leader. His brother was initially, Tom. So the other guys were a little bit upset with John because the CCR albums consisted of songs that John sung and mostly John wrote. So they wanted, you know, their piece of the action. This is just the remastered version, the 20-bit K2 of Mardi Gras. Now, Mardi Gras is almost anyone's idea of the worst CCR album. I'm going to go over these songs with you, but I can't even remember half of them. And I'll tell you why, because he let the other guys write and sing. You know, what did Robert Christgau called this Fogerty's Revenge? Like, he says, okay, you know, you guys want to write and sing the material? You think you can do it as good as me? I'm going to let you do it. And voila, what'd you get? I think, and most people do too, the worst CCR album. Looking for a Reason, Take It Like a Friend, Need Someone to Hold, Tearing Up the Country, Someday Never Comes is the first classic CCR song. John sings it, of course, and it's 5 songs into the album. What Are You Gonna Do? Sail Away, Hello, Mary Lou, you know, the old Ricky Nelson number. Door to Door, and the last one is the classic Sweet Hitchhiker. So, much like Pendulum, only 2 classic CCR songs on here, but the other cuts on Mardi Gras are not as strong as the ones on Pendulum. So, yeah, this album was arranged and produced by John Fogerty, Stu Cook, I keep saying that, Stu Cook and Doug Clifford. It's like I'm combining Clifford and Cook. So, anyways, this is 1972, and it is the last CCR album. There was a live one after that, but it wasn't even recorded at that time. It was, you know, like a posthumous one. But John did not miss a trick. In 1973, the next year, there was the Blue Ridge Rangers. This is not the original cover. It is the original cover, but the original cover did not say John Fogerty. It just said the Blue Ridge Rangers on it. But, you know, it may as well have said John Fogerty because he is the only musician on this album. There are for one of the quintessential singer-songwriters of that era, there are no original Fogerty songs on here. These are all cover versions of, you know, older country songs. Some of them you can even call these, you know, folk songs. Blue Ridge Mountain Blues, that's a good one. Somewhere Listening for My Name, You're the Reason, Jambalaya on the Bayou, you know, the one that Hank Williams made famous. That was a hit from this record. She Thinks I Still Care was George Jones. California Blues, Blue Yodel number 4. Whenever you see Yodel in the title, you know it's a Jimmy Rogers tune. Working on a Building is a gospel tune. Please help me, I'm falling. Have Thine Own Way, Lord. 2 gospel numbers. I Ain't Never. Hearts of Stone, which was the biggest hit off of the album. And Today I Started Loving You Again. I think that's Merle Haggard, right? Guys, I'm a big country fan, despite the fact I've never done a country show on here. I will. There's so many shows I haven't done. I've never done a reggae show, but Bob Marley's coming up, guys. Anyways, I like this record. I don't know if I like it more than Mardi Gras, because it's in '73. You began to see rock stars release albums like this, rock bands too. Albums of all cover versions. I mean, Bowie did Pinups. The Band did Moondog Matinee. This one, and was there a 4th one? I don't remember. Then, you know, you had Lennon 2 years later do Rock and Roll. And then it became de rigueur. But 73 was the first year I can really remember bands and artists doing stuff like this. So this is one of the first. All right. The Blue Ridge Rangers. All right, nothing in 74, but in 75, they're really underrated and almost forgotten. John Fogerty album. This is good, guys. I like this album better than Mardi Gras. It's probably about as good as Pendulum. All right. This is a whole album of Fogerty tunes. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it really isn't. 2, 3. 3 songs are not John Fogerty numbers. But Rockin' All Over the World is great Fogerty. The Wall, I'll go over the Fogerty numbers first. Traveling High, Lonely Teardrops. Well, that's the Jackie Wilson number. Almost Saturday Night that's a great John song. Where the River Flows. He does Sea Cruise, the Huey P. Smith song. Dream Song and Flying Away. And I forgot to mention You Rascal You. So I just went over all the songs anyway. This is good. You know, with Rockin' All Over the World and Almost Saturday Night being classic Fogerty. And it sounds virtually like CCR. You know, I mean, this could be, if you'd have had, you know, the other guys on here, this would have been a CCR album. So this is one I'm going to recommend from the 70s above Blue Ridge Rangers if you want that CCR sound post Mardi Gras. All right, it's called John Fogerty, 1975. He didn't do anything, folks, for the rest, in fact, like 10 years. For the rest of the 70s, early 80s, you know, he was fighting Saul Zantz, whatever his name is, you know, for his songs, and he wasn't doing anything. He became very bitter. I think he still is. And then we had the big hit, Centerfield. This is, God, is it 84 or 85? Well, I don't remember. It doesn't say on here either. Nope, just says 2018. Anyway, Centerfield's real good. I mean, it's got some of that 80s production, but some of these songs sound enough like CCR to pass for CCR. That's why he got sued, I think, for, what was it, Old Man Down the Road, for sounding like himself, sounding like CCR. Old Man Down the Road was the big hit. Rock and Roll Girls was another big hit. Big Train from Memphis is like a Sun Sessions kind of homage. Saw It on TV, it's almost like it came out of the sky. Mr. Greed, I think he's talking about Saul Zaentz again. Searchlight, the big hit, Centerfield. I Can't Help Myself, and Vans Can't Dance. That's a song about you-know-who. And there's even two B-sides. My Toot Toot, which is that old New Orleans number. And I Confess. I like the album. I mean, I had it at the time. Some of the songs are classic. And I'm going to stop there. He did Eye of the Zombie next, which is not a good record. And then he didn't do anything, I think, for like years after that. And I just kind of stopped buying them. But from 68 to 84, 85, whatever this is, he was pretty much unbeatable. He wasn't working much after 1975, but, you know, when he came back with a big hit album. So who's complaining? So John Fogerty and CCR in general, what to say about them? You know, they came from the Bay Area, but they were not a psychedelic band. Now, when you listen to this first one, there are vestiges of psychedelia on this record. It is 1968, you know, it's the long jamming, you know, Suzy Q is like a psychedelic version of that Dale Hawkins number. I Put a Spell on You also has a bit of psychedelia, but they were mostly always, you know, CCR, a kind of working man's, you know, I mean, John didn't really write about sex. He didn't really write about drinking. He didn't write about drugs, but he kind of did, you know, looking out my back door. But they weren't, CCR were like a universally popular band. They were embraced by people who listened to AM radio and heard the top 40 hits, of which CCR had tons. They had an abundance. They were embraced by hippies because they came from the Bay Area, you know, and their music has really held up over time to the point that you could call Fogerty like a genius for that, you know, for that late 60s, early 70s era. He wrote as many more great songs than anybody else. You know, if you just compared the 68 to 72 CCR, or even more specifically, the 68 through 70 years, he probably wrote as many great songs as John Lennon, Paul McCartney. You know, I mean, honestly, then that's a hell of a statement, right? So, yeah, I mean, I love the band. I love him. He's still around, you know, so knock on wood, you know. This is June of 2025, and we just lost Brian Wilson and Sly Stone this week. You know, two great artists that I did a Sly and the Family Stone video, I did a Beach Boys video. So be thankful we still have guys like John Fogerty around. And if you're watching this video years from now and John's no longer around, you know, you gotta remember him for what he was. So, all right, Matt Wilson, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Until next time.